Hi everyone! So today we're going to learn how to make attachments for our Pinch Pot monsters. What you need to start, we have a couple things already out here. We have the Pinch Pot that we made before. It's at leather hard dryness now, so it's a little bit wet, but it's just enough so it can hold itself up, and it's the ideal stage that the clay should be in when you make attachments. We also have a jar, which we'll be keeping our slip in. It's filled up about a fourth of the way up with water. You really don't need that much. Also, I have some pre-made slips so you can see what it looks like. I have a sponge and a couple different tools over here. Some of them are metal, some of them are wood. We'll use them when we actually make the attachments. So first of all, we're going to learn how to make slip. Slip, as you guys remember from your vocab, is equal parts clay and water. It's going to act as the glue that you're going to use to attach the two pieces together. So I have some clay right here. I have that little bit of water from before. I'm just going to break off pieces of clay and put them in the water. So we're thinking about equal parts, about half and half. So here's some chunks of clay. I'm going to mix it up. You can use your finger or you can use a tool. I'm going to use this metal tool right here to start mixing it, chopping it. The consistency that you're all going for should be mud. Like pretty much mud in the traditional sense. Right after it rains, your lawn is soggy, that's what we're going for. So I'm just stirring, chopping, making sure it's about the same consistency. It doesn't have to be mixed 100% all the way in. You'll notice the longer you leave it in there, the clay will just dissolve eventually. But this is just to get things going, because that can happen more overnight than just right away. So eventually what you're hoping to have your slip look like is this. Texture of mud, very wet, can be kind of solid too, it's a little bit in between. So let's talk about scoring now. I have some pieces pre-made that I know that I want to attach already. I have the mouth and one of the eyes over here. So I have them already made. I'll show you how to make an attachment a little later on. This is just to talk about the planning stage. So I have this piece. It looks like it'd make a good mouth. I'm just going to press him on there and see how it looks. I like that placement. It looks pretty good. Also, I have an eye. I like where that looks too. Maybe I want to move it later on here. So this is the planning stage. This is where you're figuring out where you want your attachments to go. Now really quick, just so you know, if you were going to put this in the kiln like this without doing the attachment all the way, this will most likely fall off. Fall off or crack. Even if you press down really hard and you kind of blend the edges, you think, okay, this will work. No, it won't. Promise you 100% this thing's going to come off. So how do we avoid that from happening? What we have to do is we have to slip and score. So we already made our slip, that's the glue. Scoring is also very important. So what I'm going to do first with my sharp tool, I'm going to go around and outline very lightly where I want the mouth to be. I'm doing the outside, and I'm also going along the inside. I'm going around the eye as well, because I need to see how big that eye is. Alright, so we can take those pieces off now, and you can see very carefully I was able to make an indentation of how big those pieces are. So what I'm going to do with my sharp tool, I'm going to use this side because it's a little sharper, we're going to do scoring. So for scoring, you're grazing the surface of the clay with your tool. You're not going all the way through, just going a little bit in. So I'm doing a hatching back and forth motion. You can also go side to side, up and down, just enough to give the surface texture. Texture like it's not neat and clean, you're making it a little bit rough. Also, I'm going to go to the inside of where I was planning for the eye to go. I'm moving it around, up and down, side to side. Careful not to go all the way through. You should have enough room where you can graze the surface. So that looks pretty much like a scary wasteland of hatching. We're going to do the same exact thing to the pieces that we're planning to put on. So I'm flipping it over. This is the side that's going to attach to the pinch pot. I'm going to get my needle tool. A little more lightly this time, I'm going to graze it and score it. This is very important. We want these pieces to be able to fit together and become one piece. Okay, so I scored that one. Now I'm going to score the eye. I'm flipping it over with my sharp tool, going along the back. Whoop. And roughing up the surface. Okay. Now I have my two pieces sitting here ready to attach. I have my pinch pot. So what I'm going to do, some people use a paintbrush. I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to dip my hand into the slip and put a little bit along the areas where I did the scoring. I'm also going to get the piece that I want to add, get a tiny bit of slip, put it on, and then I can make the attachment. So I'm going where I planned. I'm pressing down lightly. Try not to use too much slip, because if you do, it's going to get watery and it's going to be hard to attach. It takes a little bit of practice to know exactly how much to use. So have your glue, and I have that one on there, just enough so I know that I can't just move it. I'm also getting this piece on there. So with my slip, I'm going in with the glue, putting it in where I had it scored, and I'm attaching it. Pressing down lightly. All right, so at this point, we've flipped, we've scored, and we've attached. We're still missing something though, because if I were to put this into the kiln exactly like this, there's still the chance that it might fall off or it might burn off. So I'm going to get another tool. I like this wooden tool right here, and I'm going to blend the edges together. Blending is exactly what it sounds like. You're taking one part of the clay and blending it lightly into the other one. This is so you can't see the edges, and it has a nice clean edge along the outside if it does have an edge. It's very important to do this lightly at this stage because you don't want to ruin any of the details that you made. Alright, so I'm going in the outside, I'm not forgetting the inside. And you notice I'm getting kind of some chunks on the side there. That's why we have the sponge. So we can just wipe that away, clean it up a little bit. Good as new. Don't forget the eye. Alright, so slipping and scoring is what you should be thinking of when you're attaching. It's more like scoring and slipping because you score and then you slip. Alright, and then at the end, because we do care about craftsmanship with this, taking our sponge, lightly cleaning up those edges. This is the best thing we can do to make sure our pieces don't fall apart in the kiln. Because I guarantee if you just pat it on there, it's going to fall off. And this is worth half the points in our grade, so we have to make sure this pinch pot looks beautiful. So say you want to make an attachment, but you're not really sure how to start. These shapes I added are really easy. For the eyes, it's just a circle with another circle on top. The mouth, I made a little coil of the clay and just attached it together. Say we want to make another eye like this. I have my clay over here, just breaking off a piece. If some of you are already like, I know it, how I'm going to do this, don't worry. This is just in case you need help trying to figure out how to make an attachment. So I have my piece right here. I'm making it into a circle, little flat cylinder, and say I want it to be like this one, but how about I have him kind of squinting. So I like the way that looks. I also want to put a hole in it. Say if I want the pupil to be concave, instead of convex like how I did the other one. Alright, so now remember, I'm finding out where I'm going to be putting him. I think over here looks good. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to outline where he's going to go lightly with a sharp tool. Alright, I have that area all mapped out. I'm going to do my scoring. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to score this edge. Can't forget that. Flipping it over, scoring it, getting my slip, putting it into where I scored. Then I'm gently pressing it down to attach. So this eye looks kind of crazy over here, but it's okay because he's a monster. And if it gets a little bit messed up, I can still fix it later on. So now I'm blending the pieces together. Blend, blend, blend. Going lightly. Get in there with that sponge. Smooth out the areas that looked rough. So for me, I've attached it. It's solid, it's on there. But I think the eye got a little bit squished while I was attaching because I was going pretty fast. So as long as I go in gently, I can still fix these things. There we go. And there you have it. That's how you attach. Make sure at the end of the day, you're slipping, scoring. Remember, slip is about 50% clay, 50% water. Using a sharp tool, planning where you're going to put it, and then blending at the end. All right?